If you have spent any time in the overlanding world, you probably know this pickup truck. This is a 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro that is owned by Tim Muniz, and he let me borrow it for the day to show you guys all about it. So stay tuned, as I'm going to be going through everything that you need to know about the Tundra itself, but also all of the modifications he has done on the truck since he bought it. I want to talk a little bit about where this pickup truck came from. As you probably know, there was a first and second generation Toyota Tundra, with the second generation living all the way from 2007 to 2021 with honestly very little changes. However, in 2022, when this pickup truck came out, it was a massive change from the second generation. Gone was the V8 that everybody was used to and gave it its reliability, and instead you had a choice from two different powertrains. Now, both powertrain options were a 3.4 liter twin turbo V6 engine. However, the major difference being between whether it was a hybrid or a non-hybrid, of which this one right here has the iForce Max engine, which is the hybrid. Now, the base engine got you 389 horsepower, but if you upgrade to the hybrid version, you got an additional 48 horsepower, and I gotta say, after driving it, it's pretty fast. And of course, to row its own gears was a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, really quick about the 3.4 liter twin turbo engine, it should be mentioned that the 4.7 liter V8 that we are used to really did give the reliability that the Toyota Tundra is known for. And so people are a little bit concerned about this smaller V6 with a twin turbo. However, we haven't gotten far enough into the production run of this pickup truck to really say whether it is reliable or not. I know that they actually took at least one of those million-mile Toyota Tundras from the last generation, and they used it to develop the product that you're seeing here. So I'm actually quite hopeful that these trucks are going to be just as reliable, if not more so, than the second generation. Now, to talk about a few other changes that happened with this newest generation, you got an extremely aggressive front grille. Now, the new generation of Toyota Tundra was the first pickup truck from Toyota to start getting this new design language, which got you much more aggressive looking front headlights and a massive grille. And of course, it includes these amber clearance lights right here that are becoming much more popular in the industry. And along the side of this pickup truck, you got much more angular and muscular design than you got, which was a more rounded look from the second generation Tundra. Now, one of my favorite features on the Toyota Tundra on the outside has to be these fender flares. These are stock and actually come with the TRD Pro, which this one is right here. And it has a digicam design along it, which is just kind of unique from a lot of the other vehicles out there. And that actually carries into the interior, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. And of course, we can't forget about the color of this pickup truck, which is called Solar Octane, and it's the orange color, and it was specific to only the TRD Pro version of the 2022 Tundra. And by far is honestly one of my favorite colors I've really seen on any pickup truck ever. Now, before we get into the interior of the pickup truck and then into the modifications, I want to talk about the things that do come with the TRD Pro, as a lot of those have been modified off of this vehicle and changed out. For example, you would get 18-inch BBS wheels with the TRD Pro, you would get TRD Pro skid plates in the front, and then you would get the 2.5-inch Fox internal bypass shocks, and then a stainless steel TRD Pro exhaust system, which I have to say, sounds really nice. Now, obviously there are a ton of modifications in the back of this, as this is an overlanding build, but I do want to talk about the stock features. These taillights are amazing. I really like the new design of this. I think Toyota has done an amazing job of kind of future-proofing their pickup truck. They're kind of looking into the future of design when it comes to these trucks, and I think taillights like this and the design characteristics of this truck are doing a great job, because Toyota is famous for keeping their vehicles around for a long time. You don't have to look much further than the second generation, which was from 2007 to 2021, making a 14-year production run of one single body style with minor design changes. Now, jumping into the interior a little bit, you have a couple other TRD specific things, and one of them is actually these aluminum pedals. This is only found in the TRD Pro, and they look pretty cool. And some other specific things are going to be crawl control, downhill assist, a multi-terrain select, and then some covers that go underneath of the truck, including including the engine, transfer case, and even the fuel tank, making this an amazing base pickup truck for something like this overlanding build. All right, so with all of that said, let's bring you inside and show you what it's like to be inside of a Tundra like this. And I have to say, it is a really nice interior. They did a fantastic job. They have a massive screen right here. I actually don't know how big the screen is, but it is massive. And then they also do have a lot of physical buttons for things like the radio and all of your climate controls, which is a great thing because I feel like a lot of manufacturers are taking way too much into the main screen and is actually making it more difficult to run the climate controls, which takes your eyes away from the road. I think this is actually a really good way of doing it. Now coming over here, you can see the startup of the dash. It is a full digital dash and is extremely nice and has a lot of information on here. It is fully customizable. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't want Tim Muniz to, have to refix everything to what he likes, but it is fully customizable and is extremely usable. I like things like when you're driving, it actually shows you the speed limit. I like to drive the speed limit, so it is nice to know what that speed limit is just directly in your dash. Moving to the steering wheel, as this is a performance vehicle, it does have that center line right here, which is really cool. And then coming over to lower on the steering wheel, you have all of your, these are kind of like your radio buttons. And then over here are a lot of like your cruise control controls. So you have things like lane departure. You have the ability right here to be able to follow a certain distance behind the vehicle. And moving behind the steering wheel, you do have this TRD red start button. It's actually really cool. I like the red color. Over here, you have all of like your trailer controls. You can turn on the TRD light bar in the front, and then you just have a bunch of other buttons that are just easily accessible that you wouldn't normally use all that often when you're driving. So they have a little bit lower on the dash for that purpose. And then jumping over to the center console, you have a ton of different stuff going on here. This is going to be your shift knob, which is really nice because most pickup trucks are moving over to things like dials, whereas this newest generation of Toyota Tundra has an actual shifter right here. It just feels much nicer than having a dial to switch your gears. And considering this doesn't come in a manual, this is the next best thing. And then behind that, you do have a QI charger right here, which I will say, I don't know if it's on my iPhone. I have the new iPhone 15 Pro. I've had quite a few issues with using the QI chargers, including in this pickup truck. It will work sometimes and then it'll shift a little bit and has a little bit of issues. So that is an interesting fact on this one. I'm not sure if it's my phone or this pickup truck or just QI chargers in general, but that is an issue that I was running into. And then behind that QI charger is a couple different storage bins and cup holders. And I really like this yellow and orangish color. It just kind of sets it apart and looks really nice. And then right here, this dial is actually for choosing your drive modes. You can choose over here. It flips between a couple different drive modes. So you have sport, you have normal, and then you have eco. And then it wouldn't be an awesome pickup truck without storage bins. There is massive storage under here. However, I'm not gonna open it up because there is personal stuff, but there is good storage in this pickup truck underneath of here. As you can see, it is massive. This is the size of my hand. Yeah. And then moving to the passenger seat, you have a massive Toyota logo right there. And then going back to the Digicam that was on the exterior of the truck, you can actually see it's in the weave of the seats, which looks really cool. It's not super noticeable because it's behind some other fabric. However, these are the TRD Pro specific seats and they look really nice. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the rear of the 2022 Toyota Tundra and let's talk about legroom and headspace because that is one of the biggest issues with most pickup trucks. And I have to say, there is a lot of room. I will say this seat is actually farther back than I normally would sit because the truck is off, and then the seat automatically goes forward when the driver turns the pickup truck on. So there actually is more space than what you're seeing here, and there's probably a good 7 or 8 inches before I hit the seat in front of me. So legroom really isn't an issue in this pickup truck. I have about an inch before my head touches the roof. So if you're a little bit more than 6 foot like I am, you might start to touch the top. There aren't a ton of amenities in the back of the Toyota Tundra. There, of course, is going to be charging both in USB-C and USB-A. And then, of course, you do have charging with a standard wall outlet as well. And then you do benefit from the full panoramic sunroof that you have in the front of the vehicle right here. It goes all the way from the front to the rear, so you do have that benefit as a rear passenger. Outside of that, there really isn't much to talk about, so we're going to be getting to probably what you guys came here for, and that is all of the overlanding modifications. So I had Tim Muniz send me a list of all of his modifications he's put on this, so let's get started. So the first thing is going to be this Icon Stage 10 6 6-inch lift. Yes, this thing has a 6-inch lift on it. And the purpose behind that lift is so that it could fit these 20-inch Mayhem Compass wheels with Mickey Thompson 37 by 13.50 R20 tires. Another cool modification has to be this front bumper, which is a CBI covert front bumper. So that's actually right here. This is going to be your stock bumper, and what you do is you actually cut out the bumper and install this. And so it looks completely stock, which is really, really cool. And because it has this covert bumper from CBI Off-Road, you can actually fit the Warn winch right here. You can see behind there is completely hidden. And then you have your line coming out the front of the bumper, so it is completely hidden and then doesn't stick out like a lot of the other winches that are out there on the market today. And I really like this bumper. It looks really nice. Now to move underneath of this bumper, there is going to be a CBI Off-Road full skid plate right there, the CBI Off-Road rock sliders, and then the CBI Off-Road rear bumper. Now moving up to the top of the vehicle, you do have this Prinsu designed cab rack. So it's kind of like a half rack because there is going to be this tent, which we'll talk about in a moment, so it basically goes about halfway through the cab and makes it so that this is still capable of being installed. And so that is actually one of my favorite racks. Now up in this corner right here, you're going to be seeing a card for the Subaru Crosstrek that I also reviewed. It has a similar rack on the top of it, but these are by far one of my favorite racks on the market today. And then on top of that rack is going to be this Baja Designs lighting kit, which looks really, really cool. And then of course, looking a little bit back from here, you can see this does have a bit of a matte design. That is actually a full body PPF kit by CW Wraps out of Post Falls, Idaho. Then moving up to the front over here, you are going to have a full lighting kit, actually a Baja Designs Pro grill kit for the lighting, and it looks really nice. And then moving behind that rack that we were talking about earlier is going to be this Go Fast camper. So it is both a truck topper right there, and then on top of it, it actually has a full tent. I would unfold that tent and show you guys all about it, but I don't want to break it. So that's gonna have to be something you'll have to jump over to Tim Muniz's Instagram account to see a little bit more about that. Of which, by the way, that link is down in the description if you want to check out Tim Muniz's Instagram account. I mean, you would want to because, well, there is this pickup truck right here. And then moving around to the rear of the truck, you're gonna have this BW hitch. And then now to show you a couple more of the modifications, we do have to jump into this Go Fast camper, which is done by just clicking right there, clicking right here, and then opening the tailgate. And then you can open this. And this is the interior of the Go Fast camper. So this is actually a full decked drawer system. I'm a big fan of decks. I've known about them for a really long time, and these things are really nice. What it does is it actually raises the bed of the truck a little bit. I think these can handle up to 2,000 pounds on the top of this while still having drawer systems that you can pull in and out. This is a really, really, really cool system that I like a lot. It is one of the best on the market, and I highly recommend them. So I actually do have some links down in the comments as well as a description to these decked systems. I highly recommend checking them out. It is going to be a paid link though, so if you do purchase it, I do get a commission, and I think you should because these things are awesome. So if you don't have one in your truck, you probably should. And then the last mod in the back of the pickup truck is going to be this mountain hatch tailgate cover. So basically it just strengthens the rear of it. It is going to be USA made. You have cup holders and that kind of stuff. This is just a really nice cover to be able to kind of finish off the rear of this bed. Oh, and actually the final mod that I wanted to talk about is going to be underneath of the hood. So we're gonna pop that open and go over here. And let's see if I can find the latch. And that is actually on this engine. So I actually really like this mod, and I wish this would actually come back. Is this thing does actually have a Burger Tuning JB4 tuner with a blow-off valve on the turbo. And I have to say, after driving the truck, I really like blow-off valves. They are a ton of fun. You can hear them spool up and then it just kicks out. It's really, really cool. So I think blow-off valves should come back as a normal modification. Also, another thing interesting is seeing the hybrid stuff underneath of this hood. That is going to be your high voltage lines going to the hybrid system right here. That's actually kind of cool to see. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what it's like to drive Tim Muniz's pickup truck that I borrowed today. I gotta say, it is pretty cool. I really like this pickup truck. So right now I'm driving a 2007 Chevy Tahoe, and let's just say it's definitely showing its age a little bit. It's an incredible SUV, but it definitely, like I said, is showing its age, and having this pickup truck is reminding me how far vehicles have come. So this is the beginning of a generation of the Toyota Tundra that is replacing a generation that started in 2007 and is just now discontinued. So Toyota is doing their best to create something that is as future thinking as physically possible. And I have to say, this is really nice. I've had a chance to even drive like a Ford F-150 Lightning, and I have to say, tech-wise, I actually think the Tundra might be a little bit better. The feature that I like the best so far has to be the heated steering wheel. My Tahoe does not have a heated steering wheel, and I have to say that it is a nice feature to have. I've also had a chance to spend a little bit of time using the navigation system and using the infotainment center. It is extremely easy to use and is very, very responsive, much more so than some of the other vehicles, including the Grand Wagoneer that I recently used. As for seating position, so these are the TRD Pro seats, which have kind of that cool pattern in them. And I do have to say that the seats are actually very, very comfortable. They fit me very well. And I haven't changed the seating configuration at all from what Tim has, because I don't want to mess with his stuff. But it is an extremely comfortable vehicle and extremely comfortable to drive. Now, as for power delivery, this thing is a lot faster than I was expecting. Sure, it's twin turbocharged, but a lot of vehicles out there nowadays are. I was impressed at how well this thing puts power down to the pavement. Of course, it does have a tune to it. I don't know what horsepower it's gotten up to. However, it is actually really powerful. I would punch it to show you guys exactly what it feels like, but my tripod keeps falling down, so I don't want to keep doing that. But it does have a lot of power to it. So as for driving an overland vehicle like this, where it has a bunch of off-road modifications, you would expect things to be a little bit more rough, and it is. Of course, it has those Mickey Thompson tires on it, which do make things a little bit rougher. I've had some experience with, like, I had the BF Goodrich KO2s on one of my pickup trucks, and I actually swapped them out because I wanted a little bit better on-road performance. So you would expect the truck like this to ride a little bit harsher, and it is. It does have 20-inch wheels, and it does have those big tires, so it does run a little bit rougher, but your trade-off on that is going to be some impressive off-road capability. This truck has all of that capability, and it's extremely impressive on that, but of course you do sacrifice a little bit when it comes to on-road performance and just kind of bumpiness and just a little bit more ruggedness on the road itself. But that's okay when you want to be able to have good off-roading, and of course the platform that we're running on, which is the TRD Pro, in itself is an amazing off-road vehicle. So a lot of the modifications that Tim has done to this vehicle really has just enhanced what this vehicle already was. Of course, having like that Go Fast camper on the back is really nice. I really am a big fan of toppers and just what they add to the vehicle, because it really makes it so that the rear of the vehicle can be used for things more. And of course, having that decked system as well makes a big difference there too. I'm just a really big fan of that. And then of course, having that tent is really, really nice to have as well. It has all of the amenities, has lane keep assist, it follows the vehicle in front of you exactly how much you would want it to, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a really cool pickup truck. Is it for everybody? Not necessarily. Because of all these off-road modifications, this isn't going to be a daily driver for most people. I mean, most people that have overlanding vehicles do use these as their daily driver, but of course it does take a little bit away from just that commute and stuff like that. So if you are wanting a little bit more laid-back vehicle, this probably isn't it. Instead, you probably would want to get a TRD Pro and probably keep it stock. But if you do want to do off-roading, you do want to do overlanding, all the modifications that were done on this vehicle are kind of the best of the best. I probably wouldn't recommend anything different. So if you guys want that, I definitely would recommend checking it out. So again, check out Tim Muniz's YouTube channel and Instagram account as a thank you for letting me borrow this pickup truck. It has been a blast to drive. So that was not only a tour of a 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, but was also a complete tour of Tim Muniz's complete build on this pickup truck. And I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite builds and videos I have produced on this channel. I think this is an amazing build, build. It is extremely exciting. Now, of course, putting a bunch of off-road modifications on this pickup truck did affect the drivability of it ever so slightly. It definitely is worth it, as it is an extremely capable pickup truck off-road. I have seen this driving off-road all over the place, and it is one of my favorite builds I have ever seen. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as it does help me out and actually helps me find sponsors for these videos so that I can continue to put them out. Also, like this video, as it does help me out in the algorithm as well. And with that said, until next time, see you guys.